We've got the point spread, folks, on the banner right there. It's in Death Valley, and Clemson's a 1.5-point underdog. Get this one, Jason. I just checked this. Ohio State can't say this. Georgia can't say this. And I'm guessing Alabama can't say this, although maybe. Clemson has not been an underdog for the last 5 years of regular season games. They've not ever been an underdog. Zero. Even when they played Georgia in 2021, they were a 3-point favorite. They've never been an underdog. And I bet they haven't been an underdog in a regular season game since probably Florida State 2014.
2016.
2016, they were an underdog.
Louisville.
Because it was on the road.
Lamar Jackson and Louisville.
Oh, really?
Clemson was a 1-point underdog. That's what I have here. Somebody sent me this morning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times under Dabo Swinney, they have been underdogs at home. 2016 to Louisville, 2013 Florida State, 2013 Georgia, 2010 South Carolina, 2010 Miami, 2008 Georgia Tech. And the biggest was Florida State, 2013. Clemson was a 4.5-point underdog. Those are home games now.
Yeah. Okay. These are all games in the last 5 years I've got right in front of me. Never been an underdog in the regular season. Last time they were an underdog was the national championship game against LSU. And again, I got to think 2014. So they must have went to Tallahassee in 2014. They were probably an underdog in that game. I'm guessing that's the last time they were an underdog. Well, you're telling me the 2016 Louisville game, which I don't know what Vegas was doing there, but it was a really close game.
And it was only this. I don't know what service this is from. Somebody sent it to me this morning because we were talking about when the last time Clemson was an underdog at home. So somebody sent me every time Clemson's been an underdog at home under Dabo, and it was only a 1-point spread. So what one service had, it might have been a little bit different somewhere else. It might have been a pick 'em somewhere else. So go either way on that one. Kind of like 2015 Notre Dame, the Hurricane game.
Yeah.
Opened up, Notre Dame was a 2.5-point favorite, if I'm not mistaken. By the time the game rolled around, it was a pick 'em.
But yeah, at least for the last 5 years, at least the last 6 years, if you go to 20. So we're talking like 75 games. They have not been an underdog except for that championship game against LSU. Wow.
Dabo likes to play up the underdog card, right? We're a little old Clemson, right? And he has not been able to really do that the way he used to be able to do it. Because, during the first half of his tenure, you could buy into some of that. But it has kind of felt like, over the past few years since they went on this run, that some of it kind of felt manufactured, and he was trying to push some buttons and not sure how that message was being received. But now they are going to be the underdog this week. He can really truthfully and meaningfully push that narrative and try, and use that as one of the ways to motivate this team. Not only are they underdogs, they're underdogs at home. And that's just something we've rarely seen under Dabo Swinney. So it's going to be interesting to see how this team comes out. Again, a noon kickoff. You never know with these with noon kickoffs at Clemson. You can have a dead crowd. You can have a raucous crowd. It just depends. I remember Syracuse, Trevor Lawrence's first start, noon kickoff at Clemson. It was one of the loudest times I ever heard it. And that rarely happens for a noon game. I expect it'll be raucous this weekend, especially after Florida State's close call this past weekend. Some of these Clemson fans are thinking, maybe they're a little bit more vulnerable than they've been led to believe. And not to mention Jordan Travis got hurt in that game too. Had to come out and went back in. Who knows how fully healthy that shoulder will be.
The one thing that stands out watching Florida State play LSU was that they really exposed the LSU secondary. If there's a reasonable pass rush for Clemson, do you think their secondary can hold up against Florida State's wide receivers?
That is going to be one of my 5 storylines to follow when I write this thing up later in the week. And it might be the number one on the list. because Florida State has some dudes at wide receiver, some dynamic playmakers, Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson. And we're talking about Johnny Wilson, 6'7". I mean, I don't care who you are, that's going to be tough to cover. I feel like Clemson's got some guys that can that can cover. Nate Wiggins has been really good since his bad showing against Wake Forest last year. I think he could potentially be a first-round pick in the next draft. We'll see. I think he's got that kind of potential. But on the other side over there, you got Sheridan Jones and Jaden Lucas is the third corner. Sheridan Jones worries me a little bit. He's a 6-year guy. He's experienced. He's been around a long time, but he's wily. He's a veteran. Maybe not quite as talented as Nate Wiggins or, say, the younger Jaden Lucas, who is just in his second year and now didn't play much last year at all. So that's going to be an interesting matchup. How Clemson can cover on the back end against those guys. And I think it's imperative that you pressure. You can't let Jordan Travis get comfortable back there. You got to put pressure on him. And Clemson's had a little bit of issues when they do get pressure this year. They've not been able to finish. Guys are getting out of the pocket. Riley Leonard killed him. That long touchdown run that Clemson had him in the grasp, and he gets away and goes and scores. When they get to him, they got to be able to finish. They can't let him get comfortable. And when he does have a clean pocket, Clemson's secondary is going to have to cover. It's going to be a great test. The pass defense is the one area on defense Dabo Swinney said in the offseason needed to improve significantly. We're fixing to find out if it did.
This is the one everyone has waited for in the ACC. It's Clemson hosting Florida State. Check out Jason's work throughout the week, tracking Clemson football. Jason, we appreciate it. Enjoy the game on Saturday.
Yes, sir, man. My pleasure. Anytime.